Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 10 of the Future Ready Librarians podcast series, Leading from the Library. This is a podcast for all librarians wherever you are in your journey. It is filled with amazing guests, important topics, and engaging conversations that will inspire, engage, and support all of us as future ready librarians. I am your host, Shannon McClintock Miller. I am the district teacher librarian at Van Meter Community School in Van Meter, Iowa, and serve as the Future Ready Librarians leader. I have the pleasure of working within my library and school community and also with others around the country and world through Future Ready Librarian events, conferences, consulting, writing, and more. I am honored to bring these voices and the work of others to our podcast and to all of you. Well, today, friends, we have a new guest and friend on the show. I'm really excited because I read this article and it was in EdSurge, and the title was "This School Librarian Thinks Her Job is the Best Kept Secret in Education." And I feel like that all the time. And so I knew that I had to reach out to Jamie and ask her to be on the podcast because I wanted to hear more about her story and the amazing work that she did, and also to talk about that great article. So thank you for coming onto the podcast.
I appreciate the invitation, Shannon. Thank you so very much. I'm excited to join you virtually and just presently. So thank you.
I love it. I'm so glad. I know. So let's just start by having you introduce yourself and tell us about kind of your journey, like where you came from and how you ended up in your role as a school librarian.
Oh my goodness. So, of course, the one person that comes to my mind is my mother, who is 81 years young this year. And as a poem that I penned in my early 20s, only child, single parent, she is just, I thank her for the adventure because it has been from going to my first funeral in Ontario, Canada, at an end of an underground railroad historically, to living in Wicker Park that was multicultural when I was there and has been gentrified since then, to the U.S. Virgin Islands and being there for middle school and all of high school, celebrating my 30th high school reunion last year, on a cruise to Italy with people from high school, from St. Thomas. I'm just so thankful for just that experience. And then to come back to Chicago as a young adult and end up being a proud alumni of Chicago State University, which is on the south side of Chicago. And it's a kept secret. And I wish it wasn't the best kept secret like my profession. It shouldn't be a secret. So Chicago State shouldn't be a secret. Our profession shouldn't be a secret. But I feel it's underground, undercover, incognito. But I'm so thankful for outlets like yours where you have the megaphone and here we go to educate people because it's just about information. So become the alumni of CSU and then of National Louis and learning how to treat teaching as an art form through that program after being a principal dancer of a dance ensemble as a young adult before getting my first job as a kindergarten teacher at the end of the school year, because I was helping one of my peers from the dance ensemble. She liked the way I taught her the steps on the side and invited me to do so. And she is definitely, I will consider her my mentor because she's the one who tapped me and said, "Hey, remember when you used to line up your stuffed animals and pretend you were a teacher?" Remember when? Oh, okay. So I need to go and learn how to do this for real. And so there's National Louis, and then becoming a proud parent after getting married. Of now, like I said, like I told you earlier, of two young adults who are, one graduated, one is on her way to graduate. My double blessings, and then my son who's graduating from high school and getting into vocational education, which is part of my background in high school. Um, I'm just very that's the journey, and I'm still on because I've returned to Chicago State University as a now a second year doctoral student for the educational leadership program, and I'm loving it. I'm being challenged, and I'm learning so much more. Um, and having all of that, I feel sparked from watching Soul Train on Saturday mornings after cartoons. Like, and I didn't even realize that until I'm in a room with media experts at the AASL conference in Tampa year before last, and just like, oh yeah, that's where it started. Becoming media literate. Looking forward to Saturday morning cartoons, of course, but Soul Train afterwards, because then I could go outside. Then I would go outside and play and what have you, or we would leave the home. But not having a TV in my home from my mother, and it only be something that happened when I went to my grandparents' house, who just happened to have a color TV with a remote in the 80s. I was excited when that, said like, yes, we finally have a color TV. I can watch Soul Train, my favorite artist, but I get to see those commercials where I would see people who look like me exposing products that I may drink or may not drink or may want to purchase or may want to go visit. But it was familiar versus Sunday morning, watching Sunday morning on CBS with my grandparents and then seeing commercials about retirement funds and financial security and annuities and what? And then being able to watch the Cosby Show on weeknights when I was, especially, when I was able to be in front of a television, and seeing, oh, so there are commercials where people are wearing a wedding band and not wearing a wedding band. I thought everybody was married, or no, not everybody gets married, huh? So all of those things taking me to a final interest at Chicago State, where I earned my bachelor's in broadcast and speech communications, which is now the Communications Media Arts Theater program. I'm just like, wow, yeah, been media literate most of my life, and writing the lyrics to my favorite songs, growing up and rewinding the tape and the cassette tape and getting the playback and pausing it and writing the lyrics. That's a part of what I do with my students. Here's a song, listen, feel it. Let's analyze it. Let's find our favorite part, our favorite lines. So that's, I try to say it's in a nutshell, but I guess that's just maybe it's a pistachio because it's kind of bursting.
It is it's a great story. I know when I first read what you wrote, when I asked like what you wanted to talk about today, I couldn't wait to hear more about that. But as like talk about and describe and, like we think about always being around media and being curious and being like, I think that really does lend itself to us loving to be a librarian, to just like that journey and finding information and working. And one thing that really stood out to me too in the article is that you love that you get to interact with everyone. And I feel that way every day because I get to work with preschool to 12th grade and all the teachers and administrators and so I feel like I'm very blessed to, get to go on that journey with our learners too.
Yes, yes. That's the best part of that statement of best kept secret. That's the best part, that interaction, that collaboration, that support, because you have to include the custodians. You have to include the related arts teachers that are my team, because I'm also the instructional coach and department chair for the special areas team at my school, plus those that are paraprofessionals who are with the students when they come to your class, as well as the Department of SPED, as well as the case managers, as well as the speech pathologists, to know that, hey, I'm here, I see you, good to see you, welcome, because this is our school.
Yeah.
This is us. So and to have a hub that's as big as the cafeteria, fortunately for me, although I think that's how it should be at every school, the library should be as large between in size between the cafeteria and the gymnasium.
I
Because
love
you
that.
go to cafeteria to feed the muscles and the bones and the veins, the bloodstream. You go to the gym to exercise, all of those things. Yes, thinking happens everywhere, but where do you get to explore your interest? Where do you get to learn the things that aren't in your textbook?
Yeah.
Where do you get to pull a piece of wonderment from a space? The library.
Yeah. That's
The
so
library.
true. So you work in a school with kindergarten to eighth grade.
Pre-K to eighth grade.
K to eighth grade.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. Isn't that fun? I love that. And so
Hmm.
you work in Chicago. What school do you work at now? Have you been there for a long time?
Yes, I am at Providence Inglewood Charter School on the south side of Chicago. And I have been there I've been a part of the Providence family since 2008.
Oh,
I've been a part of Providence Inglewood's family since 2010.
that's awesome.
Yes, yeah, and I'm amazed as I look back, because both my daughters graduated from there in 2016 and 2017, and then my son was there from kindergarten through seventh grade, sixth grade. But I've always been they were at a charter school before that, Namaste Charter School, which is a whole child infused with yoga and a salad bar in the cafeteria and a gym, like with equipment like at Planet Fitness. I mean, so I believe in charter schools as well. So I think that's also what keeps me, a part of what keeps me at Providence Inglewood Charter School.
Yeah,
Just that
that's
charter
great.
part.
I
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I want to come visit. It sounds fabulous. It sounds so
Oh, you're
great.
always welcome. You're always welcome.
I love that. I always like to, whenever I have a guest on, because I'm a librarian too, I always love to hear like what it looks like in, in your school. Do you guys, you're part of the related arts team, so I'm assuming that you probably teach the kids every week, you on a fixed
Once a
schedule.
week.
Yep, yep.
Yes. Fixed schedule. I create it with the other instructional coaches every summer. Now we have done where we were seeing a homeroom once a year because we split up in 2 semesters, 4 quarters. So we would see them every day, 5 days a week for the whole quarter, and then not ever again. And we put out a survey to the students. Do you like this, or do you like to see everybody all year once a week? They're like, all year. Because then if I'm an artist, oh, I don't have art again until I'm in another grade level. But then you have the teachers who are the related arts teachers or special areas. That's what we call specialist areas teachers. Who are like, but what about the transfer of knowledge? Once a week isn't enough because they forget or may not absorb, or something happens. There's a field trip. I don't see them again and then it's like I have to reteach all over again. So that schedule, we've gone back and forth. Kind of, sort of, but mainly it's been once a week. So I'm going to try and get it to twice a week next year. But we see them all school year, and it's character education, which I'm so proud of my school for keeping that in our mission and what we do. We teach character education and guidance. Those two educators are on my team, and having that kind of opportunity to influence that curricula is that's
That's great. Yeah.
that's a pleasure. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
hmm
You got a good team there because I think all those things together and just the resources that we can, those partnerships, not only with classroom teachers, but I'm glad that you said something about like that related arts team because, and other partnerships too, because those are so important and I find them
hmm
to be so rewarding,
yeah.
that it's a place that we can really have a big influence on what is happening within our school.
Yes, yes. And now that we're talking, I want a thought that comes into my head that I learned from a third grade teacher is maybe related arts and the what do you call it, enrichment. We're the sticky stuff. We're the gums. So,
Yeah,
like in language arts, gums, the grammar, the usage, the mechanics, and the spelling, the gums. He said. So he would teach with that acronym that these are the things that create a sentence. These are the things that keep your thoughts together. The gums. You
yeah.
know. So I'm like, yeah, this,
That
ooey
is
gooey, sticky. I don't know.
that
You
is
keep it
true
together.
though. It's like I know. I bet you
hmm
also have another thing I love to like think about and just reading that article too is, when you work in a school district as well, when you work with kids from pre-K to eighth grade, like you have a lot of
hmm
influence on those readers and
Yes.
just inspiring them to be, that love for reading. And is your library the library then for all of the kids? They come to the library from pre-K to eighth grade?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have a story time rug, picture book area. I have a separate section. Well, it went through a remodeling too. So I had more shelving before, and it looked more like a computer lab because when you walked in, there were all the desktops. But now that we've gone one to one with Chromebooks and the remodeling, our former principal is not the executive director of PEX. She wanted more of an open concept. So when you walk in, you see, that picture book area. Then my wonderful volunteer from our parenting or supportive community of Kenilworth, who's been with me since 2015, 2016, just volunteering on a part-time basis. She has helped to genreify the collection and face forward.
Oh,
So,
good.
and then being able to work with the Chicago Public Library, I focus on whatever they're focused on a monthly basis. So, of course, March is Women's History Month. So the displays, they can choose from whichever display. But one thing that I do love about my library space is it includes artwork over the years
Oh,
from
that's
previous
cool.
students, from social studies projects, art projects. So that shows collaboration right there. And it's still standing. So I have a Willis Tower, formerly known as the Sears Tower, that is 5 feet tall. That student did so in third grade. He's now a freshman, and he just came back as an alumni to volunteer with me in the library today, help me
Oh,
with whatever I needed. Uh, yeah, so
great.
I love this library space. That's why you need the
Oh,
space, like a cafeteria or a gymnasium. You need the
I
space.
that. Well, and the kids, they love that. They get to depend on that. And when they not only know you that whole time, but they know that space that gives them, they have ownership over their learning too. And I
Yes.
think that is something that, is just so wonderful about being a librarian. And it goes back to that our job is the best secret, kept secret, right?
Yes.
That's so
Yes.
true. I
Yes.
know. I love it. So I have to ask too, like you've done all these amazing things, like what's next on your wish list?
Well, life has so many strands. So, as far as the library is concerned,
Yeah.
for sure, as we are on the Future Ready Librarian podcast. So, right now, I am sharpening my expertise and formalizing it intentionally now as it relates to media education and multiliteracy education. Because what I do is multifaceted. It involves so many things. I'm doing math facts at the door upon entry or sight words. They are signing it using ASL. They come in, learn the ASL song, chant, QWERTY keyboard song. They are learning the finger paths. They're doing typing.com, depending on the grade level. So they are creating citations. They are circulating books. They are coloring from the monthly activities from the Chicago Public Library. They're learning Black history via the music that I play, as I will forever share R&B and hip hop with them, because we're predominantly a Black school, Black and brown for sure, but they are mostly beautifully Black children, Black American children that I want to always support with who we are and what the culture that I grew up in, at least, and what my ancestors experienced, because I know that. Not everybody knows that, about themselves, unfortunately. So it's an opportunity for me to expose them to all that I possibly can. And if you're exposing information and identity and curiosity to children, it can't just be from one book.
Yes.
It's not going to happen from one book. This is the whole child, all of the brain, all of the emotions. Now you do, as well as character, as well as, I also go back to classroom management. If you can't manage, you can't teach. And I feel that children now don't have the boundaries and let's just stick with boundaries as I did as growing up at their age. So with that being said, we've got to teach them how to steer and manage a motorcycle that's in their hand that costs hundreds of dollars, but they should really be on the big wheel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How we introduced this access to our children, I just feel it was reckless and not really well thought out. So my next steps are to help with that. So that's why I'm earning my doctorate in educational leadership. That's why I am doing a lot more reading about what interests me and what I've done as I look back, where I did just what I was interested in. Now I'm doing what I intently on or intentionally focusing on. So it's not this happenstance or this, unchoreographed dance. I'm getting my choreography together now. I'm doing my run throughs because Illinois is such. I'm so thankful to be in this state, especially in 2025, where we have a governor and aldermen and policymakers and educators and administrators who are forward thinking and can think out the box and are expected to think out the box. And I think that can, spread through the Midwest, because the Midwest has great things going on. And I just think that we're also a best kept secret in the region.
Yep.
in the country. We're the Midwest. Everybody thinks of New York. Everyone then thinks of California, vacation in the South. But hey, wait a minute. We're the ones where it all comes together so smooth and so cool, and that's the flow. So at least that's how I have been able to experience and been exposed to. So Illinois, the Midwest, trying to help to balance out this thing we call education, especially American education, as it changes right now. So are these opportunities through challenges? Yes. That's what I say. We're not defeated. Um, we are learning more, and why not learn from information? It's just information. You don't have to listen or read or watch. You don't have to, but it's there if you want to. And I enjoy continuing work in a direction that helps to prevent teacher burnout.
Yeah.
Because they have an automatic partner at their school, which is the school librarian. That's your automatic team member, your automatic collaborator, your automatic think tank partner, your brainstormer. That's who you can always go to for any kind of concern that you have about any pedagogy, any kind of resource, be it print or online or in the community, because I bring in newspapers from the community that I may pick up when I'm out on the weekend and see. I may grab a stack of 5 or 10 that can become a center in my library. I like to do centers in the last quarter of the school year. So that actually starts for me next week because we've been doing our standardized testing these 2 weeks. So I've been
getting things ready.
Yeah, well, I've been unplugged.
Yes.
So we're not doing typing.com. Miss Rue, can we do? No, we are unplugged because you've been in front of a screen for a long time every day this week. I know I have this projector, but you're paying attention to what I'm doing because it's usually it's also a document camera that you're looking at because I'm modeling for you my expectation as Jamila Gray. So I enjoy being on the front line still, but for me, I'm moving to so I could be just get as integrated as I can into the actual field and profession, so that again, so that we have teachers that don't feel defeated and still want to be there, even though it's challenging, especially as the SPED population grows, especially as children are losing their parents to just absurd or unfortunate extreme situations. Like these are children, these are little people. And we're their people when they cross that threshold at the main entrance every day. We become their people, their family, their community. So who's supporting all of those adults? Who else? I just want to be a part of the solution. So Shannon, I am intentionally becoming more and more a part of the solution when it comes to my niche and my interests, because I'm not here to save the world. I'm not here to change the world. I just want to be a part of the solution to make it good and an enriching experience for as long as you have it. Because as you know, nobody's promised tomorrow. Yeah. This is what we have. So it's that gift, right? Wasn't that Eleanor Roosevelt talk about the present? This is a gift.
Yeah.
Today. So
I know, I love it. And I just hearing you, like, I want to catch up with you again soon and hear about your journey, because I think that that's another thing that I love about being a librarian and an educator is that it's always changing and always evolving. And I'm like you, I find it to be like so rewarding, and I can't imagine right now like retiring or like being not part of that, because I love the difference that we make. And so you're amazing. They're lucky to have you, and now
you're sweet. Thank you.
we have to follow your journey to see what you do. And so I think it's so great, everything that you've done, and just keep doing, because that's an inspiration.
Thank you, Shannon. That's a lot. I appreciate that. I really do.
Are you online where people can follow you? Because I know that people might want to be like, where can I see her work at?
I'm doing better with sharing digitally. I am a humble, modest soul. I do my best to be. However, I am on LinkedIn as Jamie Rue, Jamie with an I, not an E. And I am also on Facebook as Yuri. because I have a not-for-profit organization, literacy organization, YURWI, with my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful partner, Y Blackmore, who's also a published author 12 times over.
That's so great.
And so Yuri has its own Facebook page. So please reach out to me there. I would love to have more commenters or viewers and supporters, friends via that vehicle. On Instagram, my handle is Rue More Books, or even RM Bookhouse, because we also have a publishing company together. So on LinkedIn, Jamie Rue. On Facebook, Yuri Youth Urban Reading and Writing Initiative. And then on Instagram, RM Bookhouse.
Okay. Oh, so many places. I love it. And we'll make sure that we have that in the notes too. And I am going to include to that article because I thought that was so great. So, and that's how we connected. So
Yes.
I am so grateful for you, my friend. And thank you so much for just being you, making a difference in your school, and also for being part of our community, because we're all grateful and really loved hearing your story and your work.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for reaching out, for reading the article, for having that withedness, that us educators need to have. So I appreciate your time and energy and what you're doing. I'm enjoying listening to your podcast, even from previous years. I'm learning. So as a lifelong learner, as educators, I believe should be, I appreciate having your platform as a resource. So thank you
so much. Yes, you're so welcome. Well, you take care, my friend, and we'll catch up very soon. As always, thank you to all of our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Future Ready Librarian podcast series, Leading from the Library. And a very special thank you to our sponsors, Follett. You make a difference in our libraries, schools, and within our lives, and that of our students every day. We appreciate everything you do. I hope you can take what you learned in today's podcast and put it to use within your practice as a Future Ready librarian. If I can support you in any way, please feel free to reach out to me on X or Instagram at Shannon M. Miller, or to my email at shannonmcclintockmiller@gmail.com. I am always happy to help and support each and every one of you. Until next time, friends, keep finding ways to lead within and from your library.